Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown on this rainy Wednesday. And today we have Dr. Heineman with us, president of North Shore Community College. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Mukala. How are you?
I am great. We needed the rain anyway, so
That's right.
I don't mind it, but it's been raining for like 2 months.
Yeah.
How's everything with you? You know, school starting the day after Labor Day. You're gonna have kids back on campus this year. Just tell me how the process has been for the school to get ready to welcome back the students.
Yeah, so great question. Our classes start Tuesday, day after Labor Day next week. We have been trying to figure out sort of what to offer this fall in the midst of the pandemic since all the way back in the late winter. And one of the things we did was survey students then. We said, what kind of classes do you think you're going to want to take by the time we get to the fall? And it was interesting that a majority of them were saying at that point they'd rather still be mostly remote or online. And so that's what we planned for. And over time, it became clear that there probably was some more interest in being on campus as well. So we have a mixture of both fully on-campus courses for the fall, also fully online classes, and then we have 4 or 5 choices in between, different mixtures of types of remote and in-person. So lots of choices for students.
And I would imagine also, because there's so many students not only from Lynn, but surrounding areas too, that probably would prefer to do the online courses just because it might cut the way for the commute that they have, because we've got kids from Chelsea, maybe there's some kids probably from Boston that might come here, so that
Right.
might play a factor as well.
Right, the convenience factor,
Yeah.
I think one of the, not many good things from this pandemic, right, but one of the good things is a lot of students realized that they could do college courses remotely or online, and that it's really convenient. You're cutting out that commute. You have a little more control over your schedule. So I think a bunch of students that maybe before the pandemic never would have chosen those types of courses now actually prefer them.
How's it been for the professors? How has the remote learning affected their ability to teach? What kind of reviews have you received from them?
Yeah, so it's a great question because some of our faculty had been teaching online courses for years, so this was not a huge change for them, and they like it. One of the reasons they were already doing it was because they like it. But a lot of them weren't ready to do that, and so it was really challenging for them. We had to help them to learn how to use the technology, and there's also just an art to teaching online that's different from teaching in the classroom. But most of them have really taken to the learning and have found there were things they enjoyed about it as well. We do have some faculty who are itching to get back in the classroom.
Yeah, I can imagine. For you, coming into this position, you've been like 2-3 years now?
I've been here at North Shore for 2 months.
For 2 months, 2 months. Okay, coming into this position and then being new to the position, and this is what you have to deal with. How is that as a president of a college?
Sure, well, it's a great question. You know, the thing is, I was at Northern Essex Community College for about 25 years before this, so the 2 colleges aren't exactly alike, but a lot of the challenges are the same. And so I had been dealing with the pandemic there as the Vice President of Academic Affairs. Some of the same challenges: how are we going to offer courses, how are we going to make sure students are getting what they need. So it wasn't completely new, but it was new in terms of learning what North Shore Community College was doing and what the plans were, and getting to know all the key people here. So it's been really interesting and mostly good. I mean, nobody's having fun in this pandemic, but it's really going well so far.
And in the school also this summer, you guys put together a few events. You had the bash over there. You had it twice this summer in July, and recently, right, a couple weeks ago, you had the bash to get the community to know more about the college and the things they offer. You know, just talk to me. How was that overall? Those 2 events that you guys held over this summer.
It was great. You know, we called them a block party, and we had one in July and one in August. They were both on Saturday mornings and early afternoons. And you know, the real goal of those was a free vaccination clinic. We're really trying to encourage future students, but any member of the community, to get vaccinated, and so we made some partnerships in the community so we could have the vaccinations there. But we also thought it's a great opportunity for people to get to know the college, get to know the school, and get to know each other. And you know, we had a pretty good turnout at the first one in July, and then this last one about 10 days ago, really, really large turnout. So that was exciting. And there were games, and there was food, and a little bit of a mixture for different people.
Yeah. We're seeing now more students after graduation that they're utilizing community colleges more. They're not going straight to four-year universities, especially in Massachusetts now. I believe community colleges are free for students. Some community colleges are free for students that live in a certain area. Am I correct on that?
Well, there's a number of different programs that try to get close to being free, but one of the really tricky things about free is some people define free as, well, you don't have to pay any tuition. But the problem is, well, there's books still, and there's other things, and there's also the cost that's involved in going to school and not working, you know, those hours, right? So there's that cost as well, and childcare if you have to put your kids, you know, in childcare to go to school. So, you know, it's not free in that sense of everything's covered, but, you know, we have a Promise program, for instance, that's designed to cover those direct costs.
Yeah. Can you talk about the importance of just you know, some kids, they probably have the grace to be at a big university, at a four-year university, but then they opt to go to the community college for 2 years, get the grades, take some of the classes that they would need to take, and if they graduate from the community college, if they move on to university, going to that community college, you can get your tuition cut in half.
Correct.
Because of that associate's degree you got. And a lot of community colleges have relationships with universities and stuff where students, if they graduate, they get their tuition cut in half.
Right, yeah, so there's a bunch of programs around that. There's a lot of good reasons to start at a community college. The class sizes are almost always smaller at a community college, and especially if you're just sort of wanting to get your feet under you and get confident with college level work, it's a great place to go. Our professors have really the same talent and degrees that the professors at four-year colleges go. And as you said, it's about half the price of a public college, and it's probably more like a third or even a quarter of the price of a private four-year college. So it's really affordable, and of course it's convenient. If you live in this area, it's a quick commute, or as we were talking about before, you can get your classes online. So it really is a great way to start, and as you say, then depending on the program you're in, Massachusetts has something called the Commonwealth Commitment that locks in your tuition for the whole 4 years. Neither of the two schools can raise the tuition on you from the beginning, so you can plan. And you know, when you graduate with that bachelor's degree, you put that on your resume just as you would if you were there all 4 years.
Definitely. Now, what are some of the things that you have in mind that you're planning on working on as president of North Shore Community College? What are some of the stuff that you have moving forward? You know, every president has like a 5-year plan or so.
Sure.
Do you have some of that laid out already?
I do, and it's also important in a college to really involve the faculty and the staff and the students in that planning as well. So what I would say is I have ideas right now, and we're going to spend the next year actually doing some strategic planning and really figuring all of that out. But some of the ideas I want to focus on is, first of all, making sure here in Lynn that students have access to more of our programs. There's somewhere between 80 and 90 associate degree and certificate programs students can take at North Shore Community College, but only about half of those are accessible here on the Lynn campus. And so I really want to work on getting more programs based here and using technology in ways that allow students to come to the Lynn campus and connect with the Danvers campus that way, as opposed to always having to drive or take the bus. So that's a big one for me, and especially health programs and programs in science and technology, because I'm sure, as you know, a lot of the best jobs in the Boston area are in those fields. Many jobs, so many openings right now. So that's something that's really important to me. And then, I've been using this analogy. There's a big difference in baseball between hitting 200 and 300. And, if somebody didn't know anything about baseball, they would say, those both sound like pretty bad averages, right? The first guy's missing 8 out of 10 and the next guy's missing 7. But we know that in baseball, hitting 300, you're a very good player.
Yeah.
Hitting 200, you might not be on the team much longer.
Yeah.
And a big goal for me is at community colleges for us to be hitting more like 300 than 200. For the students that come to our schools and succeed, they really improve their lives very significantly. But I would like a bigger percentage of those students to have that experience. And that'll be challenging work because our students often have a lot of challenges that aren't actually academic.
Yeah.
And the college specializes in helping you with academic challenges. And they might be working 2 or 3 jobs. They might be dealing with housing issues or childcare issues. So a big part of that goal of hitting 300 instead of 200 for us is making partnerships with the community. So other organizations that specialize in things like childcare or housing or food security, we're working together with them so students can sort of concentrate on the studying and not worry about those other things.
And another thing, there's athletes former athletes that at the time went to North Shore Community College when they had the basketball program years ago. Then, budget reasons, they had to get rid of the program. Is there a possibility of bringing the program back? Is that something that you're considering or that you would consider?
I would certainly have my mind open to all ideas. Athletics wasn't the top thing on my mind, but I can tell you Northern Essex, where I came from before this, has a strong athletics program, and it attracts students that maybe otherwise wouldn't come to college, and that's a really great thing. Obviously, I'm sure, as you know, it requires a certain amount of facilities and money and support and finding good coaches and all of that. But I'd certainly be open to considering that as one of a number of things that would serve these communities well.
Yeah, definitely. And how much are you guys utilizing? The community is utilizing the greenhouse that you guys have over there. You guys are in partnership with certain organizations in the community for that greenhouse? We
are, and there's some programs with other educational institutions, for instance. The pandemic has obviously kind of put a few obstacles in the way of doing that. It's a closed-in space, obviously, but we're looking forward to pushing that particular program, our horticulture program, a lot more, and making, as you say, partnerships in the community.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier about Boston and the medical field and stuff. You guys, the nursing program over at North Shore Community College, that's a big program.
Yep.
A lot of students, especially students of color, are enrolled in that program, and the demand now is pretty high because of everything that's going on. Can you just talk about how that program has been just a staple of community college and throughout the years?
Yeah, so you're right. Nursing programs, in many ways, are the superstar program in almost every community college, and it's certainly true at North Shore. And part of that is just it is such a profession that's in such demand in the community, and they do amazing work, right? I mean, we've seen so much through the last year and a half, how much sacrifice nurses have made to take good care of people. So the community needs nurses. And it's a challenging program. It is not easy to get through. But of course, that's the way we would want it, right? If we're sick in the hospital, we want somebody to take care of us that's really had a great set of training and educational opportunities. So, it is a staple of our healthcare programs. And, there's a lot of other programs, though, that we like to make sure students know about because, maybe nursing doesn't, for whatever reason, work out for somebody who thinks they're interested in it. We have a respiratory technology program. We have a rad tech program for people who are interested in, X-ray technician kind of work. There's all sorts of health programming that's around the business side of health, the billing, the insurance, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways people can get involved in a health career, and all of those jobs tend to be pretty good paying.
Yeah, and they're always in need. So
Yes.
you'll never be in need of one. Does the school have any type of agreement or relationships with the high schools around here as far as getting the students in there after graduating, or even if they're still in there? Is there any type of programs that the school has for high school students?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big and growing part of the work we're doing. The Commonwealth has recognized that students that get a chance at some high school experience in college and earning some college credits while they're in high school, actually much higher percentages of them are likely to go on to college, not need to take any developmental classes, and then graduate and go on to great outcomes. And so we have a strong early college program. We're working with here in Lynn with the Lynn City Schools, but a bunch of probably 8, 9, 10 districts in the North Shore region.
Okay.
And different high schools are interested in doing that a little bit differently. They all have their own class schedules. They all have their own student bodies and needs. So we try to cater and customize to each school's needs. But it's really a great way for high school students to build confidence, and it tends to be even less expensive than our normal price for community college students, which, as we noted before, is much lower than you generally pay at other types of colleges. So students can get a head start and save quite a bit of money through a high school program like that.
Yeah, and with those programs too, even if they don't go on to North Shore or they go on to four-year universities, they're more prepared for the college life just from doing that program. They'll have a better chance of going through 4 years of college and not having to leave for whatever reason, have academic issues,
Right.
and just they know the path and they know the foundation of what it's like to be a college student and how you could manage your time and be successful. Because that's one of the biggest things with high school students when they first get on campus is time management, because they have so much. They have so much more time management that they never had when they were in high school, so it gets a little overwhelming.
You're a lot more responsible for your learning and for getting your homework done and doing all the things you need to do in college. And you're right, it's culture shock a lot of times for people coming out of high school, where it's a lot more structured. They're sort of reminding you constantly that homework's due on Friday, and in college that's much less typical.
Yeah, I know we've all, some of us have had that experience, but you get through it as long as you get through it. Well, running out of time, but this was a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming down to talk to us about this and giving us all the information. If they want to know more about the school, or if they want to be in contact with you just to talk about certain things about the programs in the school, please let them know. Email, phone number, website where they could contact.
Yeah, well, northshore.edu, has an immense amount of information about the college, and I urge people in Lynn and also up around Danvers to come to campus. The campus is open now. They can stop by and talk to an advisor or an admissions counselor. So any of those ways are helpful for getting in touch.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate this. You guys have been watching the Lynn Lowdown. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.